my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, October the 23rd, and as you'll be able to tell from the picture, I'm in a different location. And as you probably saw from the picture that I put with the video, it snowed here. It's been snowing for 2 days, so I've probably got anywhere between 4 to 6 inches of snow. So with the snow, I had to move inside. I had to move inside from stitching on Friday. It was just too cold to stitch out in the sunroom. Now, hope is not over. As long as there is a sunny day, that room can still heat up quite nicely. So there's probably going to be a couple of days of sun this week, maybe. We'll see how it goes, but I officially on Friday night went, you have to stitch inside, and so I moved back inside. So this is actually my inside stitching spot. As compared to the other locations you've seen me, this room actually has no outside windows. So I don't normally film in here because there's no natural light coming in, you know, etc., etc. But it was such a gray day today, it actually didn't make any difference, so I thought I might as well film here. This is my inside stitchy spot, which is why you can see my lamb sitting right here. Anyway, if you are a new viewer, thank you for stopping by and spending some time with me, and I hope that you enjoy what you see. I just had him, oh, there it is. It's like, I had him out where I'm like, I think I'm missing some info, but I have my piece of paper. And as always, if you are a returning viewer, I'm always grateful for those of you that come and regularly pay a visit and catch up on my stitching journey. I am going to say, the title of this one is, let's talk just a short update. I don't think this is going to be very long. I had a couple of options for topics for this week, but I kind of went with the grayness and being inside and no natural light. And we'll talk about plans in a bit. I figured I'll save those couple of topics for a later week. So we'll just do a quick little update, what's going on, etc., etc., and we'll move on. Because if anybody out there is like me, who's way behind on my Flosstube, watching a short one for me will just give you more time to watch and catch up with others. So just a quick note for those of you that are in the greater Calgary area, just a quick reminder that our library stitching get together is this coming Saturday the 29th, between 9:30 and 12:30 at the Signal Hill Library. That information is, as always, in the notes section down below, complete with the address for the library if you're wanting to join us. We have room for more, so if you're in the greater Calgary area and you can make it and want to come stitch with some people live and in person, we'll be at the library on Saturday. Okay, couple of things catching up from last week and some emails that I got. Ron sent me an email because I'd sort of put it out there that Sarah was looking for fancy men. He did have one suggestion. There's a picture of the Rayburn Skating Minister. It looks like it's a full coverage piece. Not sure if it's quite in the genre you're looking for, but I will put that name, Rayburn Skating Minister, down in the notes section below if you just want to Google that. I Googled it, I came up with it, so you can Google that and have a quick look for that. He also said that Stitch Bliss Corner, all one word, their Flosstube 116, they're actually currently working on it if you want to have a look at that. My thanks to Deb, the Traveling Stocking Stitcher. She did a really lovely shout out for me on her channel. She has recently completed a mini chatelaine designs, and on her video she's like going, I think it's video 10 is the one where she's like, I know you were all expecting that this was going to be the one about chatelaine, because in my previous one I said that I was going to do one on chatelaine, but the the very day after she put up her video was the day that I put up my video on Chatelaine Designs. And she said I did such a lovely job. She didn't feel she had to do one because we said the same things. Or she would say exactly the same things I did. So Deb, thank you so much for the lovely, lovely shout out. And as always, with every chatelaine, like hers is lovely, lovely, lovely. And if you want to see piratey things, her video 9 was the pirate one. It was pretty funny. I enjoyed that one. So Deb, thank you so much. If you haven't caught up with her, I will say every time I watch one of her videos, it makes me want to stitch a stocking. I'm not currently working on any, but I will say that there is one sitting in the 5-year plan. So you'll just have to wait and see when that actually shows up in fruition. And then last week I had talked about, somebody had reached out to let me know about a free stitch along. I know I'm having a moment, terrible with the names. But I had also just like, she's from England. Like I was gonna say, I'm terrible with the name. She's from England. She left a lovely comment, you know, right after the Queen's funeral. I should know what her name is, but I've lost it at the moment. But the name of the sal is the Cliffside Stitches Sal. And there's actually 2 stitch alongs running. They're both free. One is a cross stitch version and one is a black work sal. They are each 36 parts, one being released, 1 part released per week. I had a quick look at the blackwork one, and I'm probably not going to do that one. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to download it, but check back later because I could always download it. I have downloaded all of the current parts for the cross stitch one. I didn't print anything out to show you. Why? Because it's one, they've got all these different options. So it's, you know, do you have to do all 36? No. Could you wait and just pick the ones that you like? Absolutely. They've got all different kinds of borders for you to choose from. And they have 3 different versions for each of the squares. Like I want to say they're like Quaker motif like. And they've got versions where if you just, you know, as always, you can always just do it in a single color, whether it's a solid or a variegated or whatever you want. So there's a monochromatic version of it. There's a 2-color version and there's a 4-color version. So I immediately, of course, then, you know, once I'd gone in and looked at it and went, this is going to look really interesting, I went and I joined the Facebook group. So I will put a link to the Facebook group as well. And joined the Facebook group and went in there and started looking at what people have started doing. You know, I'm going to need to follow along and watch everybody's progress and all the different color combinations. And like 5 years from now, I will make a decision and start working on it. But I'm downloading all the parts now because you just never know how long they're going to be available for free. Which is also a quick reminder for any of you who've been watching the Jeanette Douglas mini bouquet stitch along that she's been releasing 1 mini bouquet a month. Those are only free until December 31st. As soon as we hit January 1st, they're all coming down and they will no longer be available for free. I don't know if she's planning on releasing them after that, so my whole thing is I'm downloading them all now as they're available. There's only 2 left to be released because I want them all. I have plans to stitch it, just not right away. So there you go. As always, download the free charts while they're free. So thanks for the email about that sal. That was a great one. And like I say, it was really interesting because clearly something in my feed had twigged me to that one, and I had it on my list of things to go look up and have a quick look at. So it looks really interesting. So I can't wait to see what the 36 squares are. I feel like I had something else I was supposed to say about that. The only other sal that I'm clearly monitoring these days is the sorry, I'm trying to multitask, which is always a risk for me. The Haunted Library sal by Lola Crow. I love how that one is looking. Don't be surprised probably in next week's video if it turns into one of my Stashquisitions. Sorry. Sorry, that's not good, not good. I know, I'm a newbie at this. Okay. So just the responses to last week's, that's the part that I'd forgotten. So to H. Eden, who was wanting to know that if I could do that review of the sampler of stitches, she went, once I explained how many there were, she's like, okay, maybe not so much that one. But I will have a little bit of a chat about it. She also left a comment that the Icelandic blue fabric that I'm using for all of the monthly cottages looks white on the screen. Probably it isn't white. It is a very pale blue. It's a pale blue sort of towards the grayer side. You know, the called for fabric for those cottages was lamb's wool linen, which, you know, in my world is brown, so not so good for me. But I will tell you that it is actually blue. All right. There was a comment about how fast the video came up last week. Yeah, when you make them like less than 2 hours, it's amazing how much quicker they get up. But as always with things with YouTube, it's always hit and miss as to how it's going. I felt it was because I was trying to accomplish a variety of tasks before it had finished all of its processing. I think that's why it went fast, because I sort of came back and went, oh my goodness, it's done. Shar left a comment about, yes, the alphabet sampler is coming to an end, and she said soon, very soon. And I, of course, immediately started to sing soon and very soon, but that's a whole different thing. And she had a question for the Valdani threads that I bought. She was a little bit concerned that if I had been too conservative and whether or not I had bought multiple skeins. And the answer is, trust me, I have bought more than enough for the project that I'm planning on working on. Yeah. Just in case, yes. But thank you for the cautionary tale. And a couple of comments on thanks for an introduction to a new designer. And the nice thing about Art to Heart as a new designer is at least you don't have like hundreds and hundreds of charts that, you know, can tempt you. It's a small niche designer for sure. All right, with that, let's get into stitching this week. So as always, what did I start off with? So here is the infamous The Sampler of Stitches. This is a series of 9 charts by The Drawn Thread. I am doing this as a stitch along with Sarah the Stitchin' Mommy, and the goal of this cell, in case you're new, is to, if you get 1 letter done every 2 weeks, by the end of the year you have a project finished. And I'm on track. I am on track. I might be a little bit ahead, but we're not going to say that too loudly because I don't want to jinx myself. I also have a different setup here, so if you hear crashes and things falling, don't be surprised. I just realized I don't have my I don't have my main chart close here because I had to move everything out so I could get this set up. Yes, so what's propping up the camera is normally where the stand goes. But I did get my goal for last week accomplished. So here we are. So I got the last little bit of W done. Yes, that's correct. I had a moment where I felt I'd missed a color. So all I had to do was these 5 waffle stitches and stitch the W. So that got accomplished. So tonight's goal, because there's only 1 letter left, and it's the letter X for this chart. Just hold this up again. So I'm on this chart here. So this is chart number 8 of the 9. So all I have to do is the letter X, and everything here is just regular plain old cross stitch. So that should be very easy to get that knocked out tonight, which is going to be great, which means by the end of tonight, I will have completed another chart. Yay! Which means come next week, which will be October 30th, I will be starting on, I was going to say this one, not this one. I will be starting on this one, which is Y, Z, and where you sort of put your initials and the year. I will say I looked ahead. I looked ahead at the stitches. Remember my big complaints about the Van Dyke stitch? Well, which is really, it's a chain stitch on a diagonal, which I'm not good with those ones. And I graciously looked ahead and there is a zigzag chain stitch. So I'll be doing that one again. I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll get it done and then we'll get this done. But it was interesting. I was catching up with a friend and she was like, she was commenting that as she's been watching this come together, that she, from her perspective, right, compared to how the charts look, and this happens all the time, that the pictures on the covers of charts are deceiving. Now, the pictures on these charts are a little bit more deceiving than what I'm showing here, of course, because I changed my color palette. I intensified the colors of mine. They're still essentially in the same color palette as the called for, like blue is still blue, green is still green, mauve is still mauve, but I did move them out of from needlepoint ink silks into Soie d'Alger, and I sort of brightened up and intensified the colors. So mine looks a little bit different than if you were doing it with the called for colors. I am also doing this on a 32 count Silvery Moon Lugana. So yes, by the end of today, chart number 8 should be completed. I just have to do this little box down here of X's, just regular old cross stitch, and it will be complete. So I'm very, very happy with the progress on this. Thrilled that Sarah was doing this as a stitch along. If you were here, oops. If you were here at the beginning of the year, I was like I was all excited. So this is another example. This was not originally in my 2022 plan. It got added into the plan when towards the end of 2021, Sarah said, anybody want to do this with me? And I went, me, please. And it's working out great. It's 9 charts that never probably would have shown up in my 5-year plan for quite a few years if it hadn't been for her. So as always, I'm very thankful and grateful for Sarah with coming up with this idea, because I've added it into the plan and it's going to be, we're on track to have that finished by the end of the year, which is awesome. So after that, I worked on Monday, I worked on Bittersweet Pumpkins. This is by Art to Heart, the designer we talked about last week. I am doing this on a 32 count Platinum Lugana, which is quite a bold choice for me because it's quite brown. So my stitching this week on this one, yeah, that is, there we go. So what did I get done? So I did my 2 complete lengths of 6 strands of my peach ice cream gentle art, so I could start working on the gigantic white pumpkin over there. So I've pretty much got from here to sort of almost to the end of that leaf. So I've got that much done. There's a lot left to go. Originally last week I'd said what I was going to do was I was going to match however many stitches I put in the next block I would do in this color, and I don't know that match is quite going to work out. I think I'm going to go back and do another 2 lengths of the 6 strands and get that in, and then do another color just to sort of keep it so that I'm moving along. So yes, so I did those 2 lengths, and then I came in and I started working on the blue. So I've got a whole ton of blue left to go. And the blue from here actually fills in these leaves. It's hard to tell on the picture, but this blue continues and it fills in these leaves. So I will finish the blue and then I will go back to doing peach ice cream again, just to keep that color moving along. As I said, 3,000 stitches of that. Yep. Yeah, so that's what I did. So that was, I worked on that Monday, Thursday, and Saturday to get that done. Tuesday, I hauled out an old whip. So the whip that I picked up this week was the one that I started in September of last year. This is Tapestry of Life by Stony Creek. This is now out of print, but you might be able to find it on Stash Unload or eBay or, you know, sites like that. There's a small possibility that you might be able to find it if one of your physical LNS has some older stock. The other places that you might be able to check are 1884 Stitchery, because she's sort of getting people as they're destashing. They might have it. I haven't checked. The other one is in Stitches and Things. They have like sort of this classic section, which is some older stock, whether it's theirs or whether they picked it up from somewhere else at very reasonable prices. They might have it. Again, I haven't checked, but so this is what I'm working on. It's a Stony Creek. So what did I get accomplished this week? So I don't have a before picture to show you. So I am stitching this on a 32 count ice blue linen, which is not the called for. I am using all of the called for threads. So whether it's DMC, Karen Water Lilies, or Kreinik Blending Filament, I'm using all of the called for threads. So what did I get accomplished this week? Well, I'm just gonna, as usual, it's gonna be hard to see for me to show and see. So what did I work on? So I worked more on these side stitches here, believe it or not. So those are more filled in than the last time I showed this. I did all of the back stitching down here along the bottom. I added all of the gold back stitching here, which is done with 2 strands of blending filament. And I added some more gray into this bottom border. What I'm hoping to accomplish over the course of this week is to get all of this chunk here, down here to the gray, all of that completely finished, all the way over to these, the bands along the side. So this is, I'm leaving these bands sort of until the last bit, because all of this other stuff is like the uber finicky stuff, which Stony Creek is noted for. And I will say sort of the colors that I added into these side bits here were generally 3 stitches at a time. If I got 4, like that was a really exciting, that was a really exciting moment. So what I was doing when I was doing this is I would pick a color and I would load up, because I've actually cut, I don't have it handy, I cut the pieces for these colors like really short, because I know I'm only going to be stitching them for, you know, I think even at the very beginning, I think the most I'm stitching here was like 7 stitches. So they're pretty short lengths of DMC. And I would load up 6 needles and I would sort of stitch that color, finish up the 6 needles, and then I would do some back stitching. And once I finished off that strand, I would pick another color and do 6. Surprisingly, it takes a really long time to do that. The day that I came back and said, I'm just gonna work on these gold back stitches here, and you're like, you know, you're desperate when you're like, I'm gonna trade cross stitches for back stitching with 2 strands of blending filament. Now, this is the finicky bit about Stoney Creek, which is why a lot of people don't like Stoney Creek at all. A lot of finicky color changes, a lot of back stitching. I like it because at the end of the day, like the shading is just amazing. It's annoying as all get out to do it, but it looks stunning at the end. So everything left to do here on the sides, I've completed everything that is 3 stitches or more. So everything that's left to do along here, and sort of there are some bands that are joining at the top and down here at the bottom. It alternates. Everything left to stitch there is colors where it's just 1 stitch or 2 stitches of that color before it's like, you know, so there's like maybe 2 stitches here of that color, and then the next time that I use that color is like down here. So it's ones where I'm having to start it and stop it to do 2 stitches and then do it later. So the approach will be the same on Monday when I pull this out again, is to try to work on that. So this is actually a really good piece to be using as an alternate to the Bittersweet Pumpkins, because I can sit down and do a big bunch of stitching here. And that's sort of like, you know, set a goal for yourself. So I'm going to set a goal for myself for Monday, which is really to see if I can't get all of these sides completed on Monday's stitching. And then Tuesday I will do Bittersweet Pumpkins, right? It'll be big blocks of color. It'll give me sort of, you know, a big break from this. Wednesday we're going to talk about in a minute. Thursday, Friday will come up in plans as well. But my goal, hopefully over the course, sort of between now and the end of the month, is to have just this section done up to those borders. So I've got to finish these. I've got to take this gray out sort of to here and fill in these last 4 words. This is the last thing I'm going to put in because that's going to be the easiest out of all of it. That's going to be my reward for getting these finicky bits done. And then that small, tiny little section will be done. Anyway, Wednesday was supposed to be my Chatelaine Designs stitch along. I was going to stitch on that. That did not happen. In fact, I sort of got to the end of the week and went, why did I not stitch that night? Now, I will say I remember not stitching, and it was, quite frankly, because it was quite late, and I went, no, you need to go to bed. So anyway, so the chatelaine did not get worked on this week. It should come out on Wednesday. So let's do a quick little chat about plans. So I've talked about, so my plan this week is to, you know, clearly tonight stitching is going to be hopefully finishing off that X for the sampler stitches. Wednesday this week, hopefully I will be actually stitching on the chatelaine designs and seeing if I can't make some progress on that, because I'm a little behind because it didn't get stitched on one night. And then the rest of the time this week is going to be devoted entirely alternating between Bittersweet Pumpkins and my Tapestry of Life by Stoney Creek. I don't know that this next week is going to necessarily be my best stitching week because I've got big plans on Thursday and Friday. Currently in Calgary, there is an international piano competition going on. So if you're in the land of classical music and you pay attention to piano competitions, you probably have heard of it. If you don't pay attention to that world, none of this will make any difference to you. But the Honens piano competition is currently going on. It's a competition that occurs every 4 years. So their timing has actually been fairly impeccable. They had one pre-pandemic. All of the pandemic years were years where it wasn't one of the 4 years that was an official competition year. They are back in full force this year, and I actually had someone who gave me tickets so that I can go see the final. And it's a 2-part final. So Thursday night I will be at the finals part A, and Friday night I will be at the finals part B. And the Friday night, it will be interesting to see how long that goes, because you stay until the judges announce the winner. So some years it's a fairly quick decision, and some years it actually takes them a little bit of time to decide. So it gets a little bit interesting as you sit as an audience member, sit there and wait to find out who the winner is. As far as I know, I think it will be live streamed, and I don't know if you have to pay or not, but I will put a link to the piano competition in case it has any appeal for you whatsoever. So I will put a link to the Honens in the notes section down below. So those 2 evenings, I will be out at this piano competition finals for Thursday and Friday night, which means less stitching, but it's a piano event that happens a competition that occurs only once every 4 years, and someone gave me the tickets, so I'm absolutely going, and it'll be a thrilling and exciting couple of evenings. I'll be catching up with a friend who gave me the tickets, hopefully on the Saturday after we do the stitching, and catch up with her and let her know sort of how it went. So I don't know if next week is probably not going to be you may not see a lot of stitching coming to the forefront because I will have been doing other things, and you know, that's how life goes. Sometimes you have great stitching weeks, sometimes you don't have great stitching weeks for a whole variety of reasons. This next week is probably not going to be my best stitching week. Why? Because I've got other things happening, and it's good to have those things going on in life. They're at least positive things, so that's good too. All right, so those are my plans for this week. Sorry, I'm just juggling a few things. Actually, that's probably not a bright idea. Let's get on to some Stashquisitions. So I had an opportunity to go out to Traditional Stitches. I had a number of things on order with them in a variety of, etc. to, stuff from, a series of random orders. There were a few orders, some back ordered things, blah, blah, blah. There was enough there that there was a package waiting for me, so I went out and picked that up. Over the course of the summer, they had a sale that was going on, and, I periodically stopped in and checked in the sale, and I got in there one day and there was an item on sale, and I went, okay, I'm taking that. So this is what I got is, this is by Karen Kluba of Rosewood Manor. This is called Tumbling Rose. If you want, I've seen this one being worked on. So Sheila from the Sunshine Stitchers was working on this one. And, as always, this picture does not do it justice. This does not do it justice. It actually looks really quite lovely. I had so far, when Sheila showed it, I had managed to resist saying, you have a whole collection of Rosewood Manors, maybe you should finish those before you buy another one, but this one went on sale. So this was on sale, complete, so it was the pattern along with, dun, 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 this is the Valdani silk pack that goes with it. So it was on sale, so I picked it up at the sale price because I went, I'm never going to get a better deal than that unless somebody puts it on clearance somewhere. So I put that into my cart and speedily checked out with that one. I did go in and have a look to see if there were any left, because I know when I checked out originally there were a couple of left, but they've since been snapped up. So I picked up that. I had a couple of things outstanding from Access Commodities. So I picked up a skein of, just trying to figure out, there it is. Picked up a skein of Soie d'Alger. This is the one remaining color that I need for Remember 911. It's so I can fill in the center part of those pansies in band number 1. So the next time that gets pulled out, those should hopefully get filled in, because now I have that color, which is great. And then I had ordered a spool of Soie Perlee in Crème, which I need for a project that's coming up in the 5-year plan. So those came in. I'm just getting these in the right order. Nope. Seem to be struggling with this. There we go. So I had ordered some Cottage Garden threads. So this is number 1203, 1204, 1205. Blue Cypress, Murray Pine, and Cottonwood. actually, so those are the colors. These are the colors that are called for Jan Hicks's Palace of the Winds that came out for Needlework Expo. Now, I haven't bought the chart. She put that chart out and she had two different colorways for it. There was a red colorway and there's a green colorway. So I had ordered these three. So these are the three colors that are used for the green colorway. And I wanted to see what these looked like before I fully committed. But I got there and I looked at them and I went, so I picked up a second skein of each of them. So I've got two skeins of each of these colors. As far as I can tell, this should be more than enough to do this on the count that I'm planning on doing it on. And stay tuned for next week to find out what that is. So that's, so I've now got two skeins of these. While I was looking at the threads on the wall, it's like they would have all come in on the same batch, so I was totally comfortable picking them up. So I think I've got more than enough that I need to do this project, which is great. It's not in the 5-year plan. It's not in the 5-year plan, but my thing is, I think I was in the shop picking up my last traditional stitches order around the time of Needlework Expo, and I said was looking at the cottage garden threads that they had on the wall. Janice looked at me and she said, I'm putting in an order shortly, so if you need something, order it now. So I put in my order. And then the last thing I picked up is this Channeling Cocoa by Erica Michaels. And I got to the point where I was like, I have to order this because this particular version of it, and I'll talk, just give me a couple more seconds here. This version of this chart is only going to be available, I think, until the beginning of the year. So this came out at Nashville. And so what the drum says is embroideress and, with the part you say, so it says embroideress and needlewoman, someone who ornaments, oh, I can't remember. I looked at it. I thought I would be able to remember exactly what it says, but I can't. Someone who ornaments with needlework is what the drum says. But I really like, this is the part that I really like. And this is the part that, according to what I've been led to believe, is the part that once we hit the beginning of the year is going away and won't be available as part of this chart. It will turn into a chart that's just for the drum. So I immediately kicked into gear and ordered it. Is this little sampler down here. So dress like Coco, live like Jackie, act like Audrey, laugh like Lucy. Of course, this is done in black on white, which is very Coco Chanel. I, of course, will have to modify that. It's going to have to get done in navy. But yes, this was most important to me. This is totally fine. And I'm probably going to try to do both of them when this comes up. As part of my plans, as my stitching plans, I am gathering together some projects for what I'm calling library stitching. So I'm trying to designate some small projects like this that I'm going to have ready to go, so they're not officially sitting in the 5-year plan, but they're small and portable, which means easy to take to the library. So I'm trying to come up with sort of a handful of projects that I will try to work my way through over the course of 2023 as library projects, because we are getting together once a month to do stitching at the library. So that's just another way to get some other small projects worked into the stitching plan. My plan is to only work on them while I'm at the library. and get those ones done. So this is certainly one that's going to go into that handful. Like, yeah, it's in my head. I'm trying to think, you know, I think it's about 5 or, yeah, I'm aiming to sort of make sure I've got about 5 or 6 kitted up. I'm only going to work on them one at a time and, you know, get them completed. But this is going into that basket. So I just need to pick my navy. And again, I will probably do it on, I was going to say antique white. I'm looking at going, probably not. It's probably going to turn into navy on an opalescent white. And I'm looking at going like maybe a really interesting, I'll have to go look at my overdyed and see if I've got an interesting navy silk fiber that I could use for this. Got those Madeira silks. Anyway, check back later when it comes up. So I have spent some time, so that's it for Stashquisitions. I did spend a little bit of time this week looking at my 5-year plan, and specifically 2023, because, you know, we're coming up to the end of October. So I did get some Classic Colorworks thread, which you're going to see on next week's episode. So I've got 3 charts that I need to scan in, and then all of the charts that I currently own that are part of that part of next year's plan will be scanned and loaded into Dropbox. So I did that whole process where I looked at what was sitting in Dropbox ready to go. Some of them are already in Markup RXP. Bizarrely, yes, over the course of the summer, there was my Lent project. I spent some of my time while I was outside sitting on the deck getting my Lent project all ready to go. But they're all sitting in Dropbox. I'm trying not to load everything into Markup RXP just so I don't like bog it down. You know, my next 2 cottages are already sitting in Markup RXP and have been set up. They're ready to go. So when their time comes to start working on those cottages, they're in Markup RXP ready to go. I can get working on them, you know, and as those cottages get completed, they come out, which as far as I'm concerned just gives me more rooms as I start putting in my 2023 projects into Markup RXP. So yeah, that's done. I picked up the Classic Colorworks. I've got, I think, about 10 skeins of DMC that I need to pick up. And then as far as I know, by next week, all of the threads for everything that I've got planned for 2023 I should have all of the threads for that. I had a quick look at the fabrics that I need, and I think we're in good shape for the fabrics. I don't think I'm missing any fabrics for 2023. As always, I haven't necessarily cut them down, and I probably won't cut them down to size until I actually am really close to starting on those new pieces, just because I might change my mind, I might swap out a project, who knows what happens, and it's better not to cut into pieces of fabric until I'm ready to start working on them. But I looked at them, and you know, some of them are already sitting in the bags ready to go. Some of them I just need to haul them out. You know, like there's a project in there where I'm stitching it on antique white Lugana, which I've absolutely got some of that in my stash. So I just need to go into the stash and get the piece that is closest to the size that I need, get that bag and throw it into the project bag. Again, I won't cut it down until we get close to when I'm planning on starting that piece, just because you just never know. Because I could change my mind and say, well, I'm not going to work on that. I'm going to work on something else. So with that, that is my update. Turns out I'm looking at the clock. It's 45 minutes. So it's a short video for me, but not uberly short. Clearly, there are a lot of people that are way more efficient at their floss tubes than I am. But with that, I'm going to wrap it up. So I hope... Oh yeah, I was going to have a quick comment. So yeah, we went from temperatures that were like in the mid 70s, like, and over the space of, it was mid 70s on mid-70s on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, and then we moved down to sort of like mid-50s on Thursday, and then Friday it was not good. The snow was in the forecast. The snow came, so we were, you know, now sub 30 degrees. Overnight we're certainly sort of in the mid 20s Fahrenheit. Monday we are supposed to be sort of back into, you know, a high temperature of about 50. So if we've got that for a few days, it will be interesting to see how long it takes for the snow to go away. It will be interesting to see if the snow disappears before we hit Thanksgiving. If not, it'll be a fantastic Thanksgiving, Halloween. If the snow goes away before Halloween, it'll be interesting to see if it turns into a Halloween with princesses in, you know, snow pants. Which that's not necessarily going to be uncommon for where I live. I always feel badly for the kids when it's a snow pant Halloween, but anyway, it won't be the first time, it won't be the last time. With that, I hope everybody's had a good week. As always, thinking about the people of the Ukraine. I've seen some, you know, very concerning reporting coming out of the Ukraine this week. And as always, there are always a series of events going on across the world that are troubling for a variety of reasons, that people are experiencing unhappy times for a variety of reasons. So I always have those moments going, I need to always be grateful that I live in I live a pretty good life. I'm pretty safe. Anyway. So yeah, I've certainly had moments this week where I go, I need to be grateful for what everything that I've got. Anyway, with that, I hope everybody has a great week. I hope you are staying safe. Safety first, safety first, safety first. I hope you are staying healthy. I hope you're finding some time to do some stitching, and that your stitching is bringing you joy, contentment, peace, mental health break, stress relief. Just get a few stitches in, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, guys.